I play the character of Essex, Robert Devereux, and he is the favored man at this point in Queen Elizabeth's life. She meets him when he is rather young, and she's about 30 years older than he is. Their relationship is one that I would say is both sort of a mother and son relationship, and yet romantic at the same time. Basically, I think they shared the type of relationship that he never really had with his own mother. The love that they had between themselves, I think, is one that I would dare say is unconditional, whereas the love that he had from his own mother was conditional. He was groomed to be king. I think this whole idea of saying, oh, Robert is just out for power is partly true, but I do think that the relationship that the two of them share is real. There is actual love, affection, and an understanding between them. Elizabeth says at the very end of the piece, towards the end, their last meeting, he storms, barges into her chamber, and she is not at all expecting this. She is about as real as anyone would ever see her, without any makeup, undressed, and we see her as the old woman that she is at the time. And she says to him, "You see me as I am." I've always thought of that line as having more than one meaning. It's not simply that moment in time that he sees her as the old woman. It's bigger than that. It's saying, Robert, you have always seen me for who I am. And in the same way, it's reflective. He feels as if Elizabeth has always seen him for who he is, not just this ambitious young man who's out to get the throne, even though that's part of it, of course, but it's someone who genuinely knows her and sees her as more than just the queen. He sees her as a woman. Personally, when I portray this character, and I have done so in other incarnations of the role, I always try to show this duality that exists in the character. He's at one time trying very hard to gain power because he's manipulated by everyone around him. All of these people around him want him to gain power because they want to gain power. So of course he wants that, and he believes that he deserves that. But I think very strongly that he wants her approval, he wants her affection, her attention, and her love, ultimately. It's a piece about two very human individuals that are searching for identity. She wants to be much more than simply her title, the Queen of England and of the world, essentially, at that time. And he needs to be much more than simply this almost possibly next in line. You know, he has no real sense of self, and that's very difficult for someone who feels ready to assume power and yet doesn't really know who he is. I think that you have to look at this entire piece as not so much about the conspiracy and a power play. It's essentially a love story.